Let's focus on it. I don't know if that would make synchronizing this a little bit easier. Some days you just don't really feel like doing anything. You just want to relax. You just want to relax and let off the stresses of the week. Ponder about life. Appreciate the things that you have and don't dwell on the things that you don't. Relax and hear the air machine filtering the air. Wonder why things there are the way they are in life. Some weeks you just don't have an idea for what videos you want to do, and it's really too hot outside to go outside, and being inside it's kind of hard to record. I could go to another store, but in doing so you get a lot of people looking at you. It's not necessarily normal, especially carrying all this gear on you all the time. Walking into places, people think that you're way more advanced than you actually are. In all reality, I just kind of got stuff and just decided I wanted to make videos. You see all these YouTubers, and they got their niche. They're making all these nice videos, making huge amounts of views, getting lots of attention. I don't ever think that my channel will ever get that point, but binaural recording seems like they're a pretty good niche. There's not a lot of these on YouTube. But that's also kind of for a good reason, just because it's hard, to think of unique things to come up with, especially for weekly videos. I've been climbing mountains. You try to record when you walk up the mountain, but all you get is a lot of huffing and puffing because you're out of breath while you're walking up. The mics constantly get wet with sweat, and that's not good for them. And then you reach the top. It's surreal being up there when you're actually up there. I don't know if I really capture that feeling on video, even with binaural mics. Other things I think about maybe possibly doing would be just like a big long drive. I don't know, set up the camera in the back seat of the car that can kind of see out of the front, and just have the mics on and just drive for a long distance. I don't know where to go though. I could visit more parks, but after you visit a couple parks and go on the top of certain hills, everything kind of blends together, and there's no more uniqueness to it. Going to stores is cool, but sometimes they blast copyrighted music over the intercom speaker systems. And when they do that, you can't really upload it to YouTube. Plus, there's no real recording policy at a lot of these places, so they could easily ask you to stop or kick you out. And I don't want that. I tried recording at shopping malls, but all of them have copyrighted music being played out over the speakers. And many malls have recording policies that don't want you to do that. Went to Arizona Mills Mall. Got some interesting stuff visually watching a walk through the mall, because it's an all indoor mall. It's one of the largest indoor malls here in Arizona. But there's just so much copyrighted music, and it's against the rules to record. I think I deleted all that footage I had of it just because it wasn't usable. I'm more used as a learning experience. Most of my videos are done on my phone, Samsung S21 Ultra. Been thinking about upgrading to a newer phone. The convenience of recording on a phone versus a camera is just, you have the phone with you almost all the time. It has its own operating system. Charging equipment's easy to acquire for it, like batteries and plugs, versus a camera. You have to pretty much jump in an ecosystem where you're locked to their proprietary batteries, you're locked to their proprietary charging equipment and accessories. And once it's obsolete, it's pretty much done. Whereas with your phone, every time you upgrade it, your camera's better, the microphones on board are better, even though I have external solutions for that. But a lot of the same accessories still work. Charging equipment, lenses, mounting equipment, all that stuff just continues to keep playing forward. This beast cage that I have the phone on right now, I mean, I've had that for several years now. I don't remember when I got it. It was like 2017, 2018 maybe. There's been upgrades to the cage that you had to pay for. Like the last one I had was a $50 upgrade, but it completely swapped out the left side of the cage to allow the lenses to be at the proper focal length for newer multi-lens phones. When it first came out, it was mostly just for singular lens phones, because camera phones back then only had one lens. I don't know how much longer it's going to last though, as even with the lens adaptation, I still have issues with vignetting, where like stuff happening around the frame, the outer edge of it, especially when moving around, because now a lot of the lenses internally on these phones are like gimbalized, where they have the ability to move independently from where you're moving it to try to mitigate shake, which is nice when you're hand-holding it, but not nice when it's in the cage. You kind of want to lock it so it doesn't do that, because it creates vignetting. A lot of these newer phones with multi-lenses on it also have special features that use more lenses at once. So with its ability to mount a lens on your phone, a singular lens, it covers up all of the other lenses, which really impacts the ability to zoom, autofocus, and other things that more modern phones require the use of multiple lenses at the same time. I'm using a new app because Filmic Pro become pretty much a subscription model. I've used Filmic Legacy, but it's just starting to kind of mess up every update on my phone, so it makes processing the film later on a lot more difficult because of weird like bitrate problems and stuff that doesn't take into my video editor as easily, requiring me to have to run it through Handbrake, which typically I have really long recording stuff just because I just push the button and let it go. It's hard to edit and curate a lot of the videos I do just because of the nature of binaural. It would be very jarring to have it edit and change a lot to make it more interesting to watch. A lot of the experience of binaural is just you're supposed to kind of just listen to the environment and kind of go with it. And then listening to the environment allows you to take in how it feels to be there. Doing these recordings and listening back to them with my nice headphones sounds really cool. And when I run it through my surround sound system, it actually decodes it as it, so it's kind of cool. You get like pseudo 5.1 surround sound when you record like this. It is kind of a niche thing, and not a lot of people listen to YouTube videos like this where you have to have two headphones on your head in order to actually experience the sound. Because if you listen to this without headphones on, it doesn't sound very good. The effect really comes into how it sounds when the microphones are in the ear canal. Almost like the noise comes right directly into your head. So it's just as how your ears would hear it. Sounds great in nature. But not a lot of people are looking for that type of experience. We'll see, though. I still try to be inspired with my new equipment, finding new ways to apply it. Next month here in Arizona is the big video games expo, the Game On Expo. I expect to be able to pull large amounts of content from that event. Most of it will be focused binaural because there'll be like arcade machines and stuff that we can actually use and play with in various games. But also panels. I want to try to record panels. That's kind of the whole reason I bought the sound dish to begin with, which is kind of an expensive piece of tech to use. It's not very practical in most situations, but it can be super golden star when you're using it in an environment that's it's useful for. Most often it will be outclassed by just your regular shotgun mic, which I don't really have one. I do have Zoom recorders, F1, F2, and F3. But for some reason, parabolic dishes are just so hard to find. Like, they're just not made, really. There's only one major company that makes them, Clover microphones. And they have 3 different variants, but they're just extremely expensive. They are made in America, which is a positive thing, but that comes with a price as well. The dish I bought it at a discount on eBay. But the set, if I were to buy it normally, it would be like almost $800. Because the dish itself was like $200. And then the microphone it came with was like another $200. And then it came with a bag and a windsock for it. Which I don't know how much those things are on their own. The microphone it came with is an XLR mic that's supposed to be scientifically designed for the dish itself. Although the plug on it's like 5 inches long. And putting it on the little Zoom F3 here, it's big. It's not like your normal XLR plug. It's like almost double or almost 3 times the size. It would stick out the top. And then the wire's like really, really thin that comes off of it. Almost as thin as these wires that are on this thing. It's like a little countryman mic. It's like a little tiny, little bit. But for some reason they give you like 10 foot of cord when it's designed to go on that little tiny 9-inch dish. It doesn't even make sense even if you put it on their largest offered dish, which is like 24, 25 inches or something like that. It is the same company that the NFL uses to capture sound from the sidelines with their biggest dish. I've been trying to see if I can get a hold of one of the 16-inch dishes, which is almost double the size of the one I have. Their specs say it's capable of capturing sound from 250 feet away. There are lots of parabolic offerings on eBay and Amazon, which kind of looks like a gun with a satellite dish on the end of it. While it is capable of capturing distance audio, just the quality of those is not very good, and also the ergonomics. And many of them have inbuilt recorders which can't be modified or upgraded. The best part about mine is I could stick any microphone I really want in there. I upgraded it to a Sennheiser microphone. I think it's like an NKE something, which sounds really, really good when you put that in the dish. The one that the Zoom F1 came with, which is originally what I was using with that dish, it sounded like garbage. The Zoom microphone that comes with it is good for voice, but not good for sound capture, just because it has a lot of self noise, especially when you turn it up. But the professional Sennheiser, it's really nice. So I can turn it all the way up and there's no self noise like that low noise, which makes it work really well. I don't know how long I'm going to be sitting here rambling, but it's just kind of nice to just sit and relax and just kind of talk through stuff. I don't know. My mind just kind of goes from thing to thing, and this kind of happens when I'm just alone, you know? It's just nice. You're never alone when you're in your own head. It's nice being alone. It would be nice to have more friends, but I don't know. I don't really have the attention span to deal with people as much. Just kind of my personality. I think I was originally talking about collecting audio at the Game On Expo, but somehow I got on this big sidetrack. Talk about other stuff. With the sound dish, I intend to use it to capture audio during the questions and answers, during the panels. So like you have famous voice actors in the gaming industry, or even just YouTube personalities, go up and do a panel. So you just kind of show up and they talk something about their channel and maybe their inspirations and stuff to get started. And usually it goes into a questions and answers where they ask questions of the audience, or the audience asks questions of them, and then they answer. A lot of the ones you see on YouTube, at least the ones I've watched, are difficult to watch because many of them have good video quality of the panel people themselves, and the audio of those people might be good. But the questions and answers part, which is some of the most interesting stuff you go to panels for, is not really captured well on a lot of those. Just because when the panelists ask the question or go open up the floor for questions and answers, you can't hear the audience ask the question. And most of the time you just hear the panelists answer the question. And it would be nice to get the full context of what they're talking about during the event. So the intent is to use the dish to capture that audio from a very long distance, instead of having to run around with a microphone or try to get in a location that's can capture the sound. Trying to be minimally invasive while I do it would be the best to put to the dish. So I would like sit at the front corner of the panel, have like the main camera, like my little Sony, pointing at the panelists. I can probably put the F1 field recorder zoom on a tripod near them to try to collect their audio. And then I can use my little dish with this Zoom F2 field recorder to capture that. I probably won't use the Zoom F3 during the event. I'm probably going to leave this one set for binaural, just because it's a little difficult to kind of switch between, as you got to remember to have all the settings correct, and if you don't, then you don't capture binaural audio, as you have to like set it to stereo, and you have to make sure that they're both set to the same level. It is 32-bit flow, and you could do all that stuff after the fact, post-processing. It's just more convenient if you do it right off the bat. So for me, it's just easier to leave this set up for binaural so that I don't forget and don't mess up and record huge amounts of cool stuff and then none of it's useful because I forgot to change the setting over. So just leave this to do that. There needs to be more case options for this. Right now this is using a strut cases, strut field case. It's made in America, but it just is, there's a lot of shortcomings that come with it. The whole part here that's holding this extra battery, this is designed to like go around your belt to kind of hold it on to the belt that you use. But when you use the battery on the back, you can't put a belt through it too, which makes it not as effective. The stitching quality is a little questionable on it, and there's just some shortcomings with it, like the things that comes off the top here, this holds it in. There's a second part that actually flaps over, covering these ports, and it like straps here with the Velcro. But when you do that, the zipper doesn't open wide enough to allow you to have stuff plugged in. If you had one plugged in, it would work, but having both plugged in at the same time doesn't work. So I have to kind of like fold it in and then put the zoom next to it, which makes reaching in there to turn it on and off and to start and stop recording is I now have to like reach through 2 zippered openings in order to do that. There's only right now at least 2 options for a field case for this recorder. It's either the strut one, and then there was one other one, but I didn't really like the design of it that much. It was blue. This one works. It does have these little D hooks on it, which is how I connect it to my belt, which allows it to kind of hang there, which can be convenient because you can easily take it off. That's part of the reason why I don't have the Zoom F3 directly on the belt. Originally when I started I had that, but it was really frustrating once it's permanently attached to your belt that you can't look at the screen to see what you're doing on it. And if you needed to replace the batteries in it, you had to fully take the whole belt apart in order to get access to the battery holder. So that doesn't work very well. But now that it's in this pouch here, because it has this battery on the back, it can now pretty much record or stay powered on all day. I think this is a 10,000 milliamp Anchor battery. I think that's what it is. Originally I was using it for my phone, but after the short battery power lifespan of this device, because it goes through like a set of AA's in like an hour and a half with this binaural set being powered, and that's if you're recording or if you're just letting it idle. I tend to, between shots, leave this on and just let it idle. And it's nice having that battery on the back so you could just do that. When we went to Universal Studios and did recordings there, I left it on all day long, and it lasted pretty much the whole day. I did kill the battery near the end of the day, but that was because the battery that was powering my phone ran out of juice, so I repurposed this to make more phone juice so that I can keep recording the video parts. Ultimately, I feel like it was a good fit for its application. I splurged and got a 250 gigabyte SD card for the Zoom F3, which when I look on the screen there, it has capability of recording 99 hours of audio. I don't think it really needed that. You could probably get away with something a lot less than that, but that works. The F3 is a really nice recorder, and it's 32-bit float, has phantom power. That was probably the biggest problem I had with the F1. The F1 was mostly a lavalier type, but it has these swappable capsules that you can get for it. You switch them off on the top. But if you got the capsule that allowed XLR inputs, it didn't put out phantom power. So these binaural microphones I'm using here, they require phantom power. So in order to use them on that, I would have to have a phantom power injector, which would be basically it's an inline battery system to power the microphones. And each one of these inputs would need it, so I would need 2 of those. So your little tiny Zoom F1, which is great because of its size, would then become bigger because you have to have the capsule on top of it that does the switch to XLR. And then it'd be even bigger on top of that because you have to have the double phantom power injectors in order to make it work. So this here eliminates all that extra bulk because it's able to power it from the device within. The binaural microphone set that I have is made in America. It's probably kind of mid-range expensive, as there were much cheaper alternatives, but the quality was questionable. But there's also much more expensive alternatives as well. Like 3 or IDO or 3IDO, I can't remember what it is. They have these binaural microphone sets that basically have like rubber ears on them. Those are really cool, and I was thinking about originally when starting out was to get one of those. But they're like $650 for the XLR one. And I didn't know if I wanted to really take this seriously yet. So I bought this set. Partially because they're made in America. Partially because they're a lot cheaper. They perform pretty well. I'm happy with them. I think they were like $250 on Amazon. Kind of expensive for binaural set, but in the audio space, that's nothing. You can spend easily $1,000 on a good quality microphone. That's just one. This comes with 2. Not really sure where I'm going to take the channel. It's kind of a hobby at this point. It's nothing serious or major. Just kind of thinking and doing what I want to do with it. There's all sorts of cool experiences it would be cool to capture binaurally, but a lot of the difficulties recording places is just you don't know if it's okay to do or not until you get there. Many places don't have a recording policy on their website. Like I want to do one at the Science Center, but the Science Center is a little vague on what they want or what they allow you to do. Like they allow you to like do little vlogs on your phone, but I don't know if they'll be okay with all this professional gear that I have. And when you go, you have to like notify them ahead of time. And I don't know if they're going to make you pay extra to do it or not. I was lucky when I went to the Museum of Natural History. I didn't see any recording policy on their website, but I just showed up and asked them directly. I'm like, oh, you could have just asked us on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter, though. I don't like social media. Not really a social type person. But luckily, they let me go. And I went and recorded some stuff. It was pretty fun. Definitely interesting learning experience. I made a lot of mistakes there. And a lot of stuff I captured just wasn't really usable. Mistakes meaning that I made issues with the recording. Like, I started the video recording but didn't start the audio, or vice versa. So you don't have them together. And then I wasn't really keeping track of my recordings, so syncing them up in post was annoying as well. And then just putting the binaurals and microphone set in probably not the most optimal scenarios and situations. Like the rumbling volcano, which was really cool, but it did not come through at all in these. Because these microphones don't really have a lot of low end, and they kind of cut out when exposed to it. If it was cooler outside, you might be able to go out and do something with it, but now that summer is here, you gotta think about different things. I wanted to do a video at the Smashing Arizona, I think it's called, which is like an aggression room. Basically, you show up there, you buy a package, and then they give you like a set of whole bunch of like plates and cups and stuff that you can just throw at the wall and shatter. Break stuff. They give you like bats and stuff that you can like toss them in the air and smash them with the bat. Sounds like fun. I think the base package is something like $60. But again, I don't know the recording policy. I'd have to reach out to them beforehand. And even after if you get the okay to record, I don't know how well that would turn out. I don't know if these microphones are capable of capturing that kind of audio. I don't know if anyone would even be interested in hearing that. I don't know if it'll generate enough visual coolness. And doing this one-man show, it's hard just because you have to operate the camera, be the talent, and do the audio all at the same time with one person. Suppose I could try to find someone else to help, but I don't know. That could be a cool video. It is indoors, so my stuff would be able to survive outside. Because if I try to record outside right now with just the stuff, most of it overheats. And once it overheats, it just cuts off. That's it. You're done. Video recording, I probably have no more than 7 minutes before it's out. I've not had the F3 overheat yet. Knock on sofa thing. So this thing is really resilient to that. Other videos I was thinking about doing, maybe going to visit Costco, but I don't know if they'd be okay with me recording there. I did the one at the Costco gas line, and just kind of more of a stealth recording, but then I got caught. And before they could ask anything, I just left. IKEA, when I went through that, I just tried to beeline to go through it as fast as possible and not really stop. Because I didn't want people to interrupt me and ask me what's that, and I didn't want the employees to say you can't record here and leave. I ended up having to take down that video because they did play copyrighted music they got that YouTube didn't like. And when that happened, I decided to axe the video before it became an issue and compromising the channel. It would be cool to do more videos over at Oregon Stop Pizza. Although you're not supposed to do recordings there. That first recording I did was kind of me testing out this whole setup. I just recently got the F3 and the binaural set together, and I wanted to kind of go somewhere to try it out, and that was kind of the coolest place I could thought of. Technically you're not supposed to record in there, but I went ahead and did it anyway. Didn't really tell anyone, just kind of stealth recorded it. Threw this thing in my pocket. It didn't have the case and all the other stuff at the time, so I was just using AA. Luckily the AA's lasted that long, because they don't last very long. I think I had my old cell phone then, an old Galaxy S7. I don't remember if I had the new S21 at that point. So it didn't record in 4K. Visually, that place is really interesting, and it'd be nice to have like 10 different cameras just pointing around the room. I think they sell a DVD that does have that effect, but nothing beats being there. So it's just like 40 minutes. I don't think anyone's ever going to watch this whole thing, but if you do, and you tuned in this long, that's just a little bit of my ranting. And kind of what goes through my mind when I relax. When I'm quote-unquote relaxing, I'm usually not relaxing. Usually it's my mind always running like this. And it just doesn't turn off. It's not an effect I can turn off. It happens. But anyway, I think we'll probably stop. I don't know if I'll ever upload this, but if I do, it was probably a slow week. Like this week, which is it January 12th, I think. I think that's what it is. Not January 12th, July 12th. January 12th, what am I thinking? Well, let's see what we got. This is testing out a new video recording application because Filmic Pro is being stupid with their subscription. Can't even see the screen there, but yeah.